Welcome. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell. This is Joey. Thank you for listening. Let's get started. Well, you just had another win fall in your lap, black voters, black people. We just had another win. I told you guys a while ago. I said, we have so much political power that this whole game, this whole political game in this country and in this world is really like a lucid dream. And for those of you guys who aren't familiar with the phrase lucid dream, it's the belief that once you understand and realize that you're in a dream when you're asleep, you have all the power in the world to control said dream because you're aware that it's not real and it's in your head and you control everything in your head. So once you realize you're in a lucid dream, you can go from nightmare to being Neo from the Matrix. You can fly around, you can jump through time. You know you can't get hurt, right? Beat up Freddy Krueger if you want to. You can beat up the boogeyman. It's a lucid dream. And politics here in America and in the world for black Americans, it's much in the same way. The entire charade is built around don't let the black Americans realize their true power, right? And everybody's getting free cable off of us as far as politics is concerned. Everybody else involved in that quote unquote big tent of the Democratic or liberal wing of the government, everybody involved in that big tent benefits from black people doing all the heavy lifting and being the main target of the opposite party and the rest of the country, right? Everything gets blamed on us. The tab gets left with us at the table, but we never get to eat, right? And us being quiet, non-complaining partners in this is what makes the whole thing work for everybody else. So if black people all of a sudden stop cooperating, we don't lose anything because we've never gotten anything. But everybody else that's been hanging on us no longer benefits from all the work we put in. It's not just African immigrants. And let's take a case in point of the next group that suffers greatly without black contribution today. Now, we've been hearing over and over again, and this should be a wake-up call. Before I get too deep into this, I want to be very clear, and I'm going to reiterate this several times throughout the episode because people hear what they want to hear. And in the age of the internet, people cut out and slice what they want to represent from what you say. And by the time you get around to correcting what people said, the damage has already been done, right? Someone can cut out a clip of you saying something completely out of context, and there's 10,000 videos with opinion pieces, and you done went viral for the wrong things. So let me be clear when I say this, and I'll say this over and over again. This is not a shot at black women. This is going to be an eye-opener. We've been hearing a whole lot of talk for the last couple of years about how this is the year of the woman and black girl magic and sisters are doing it for themselves. And the things that we've been given as evidence of this new state of the world is a lot of FaceTime, a lot of black female faces in high places, a lot of first black women, such and such, and et cetera, and et cetera. And it's surface value trinkets. It's not real political power, right? You're given little handouts and pats on the back from white society, and that's about it. And you wouldn't even notice that these things are facades. You wouldn't even notice that these things aren't real change, aren't real power, except for when moments like this come around and you get reminded that rights are just on paper. If it's the year of the woman and everybody's hearing you roar and sisters are doing it for themselves, and I mean this with all women in America, not just black women, but I'm going to focus on black women in a minute, how it pertains to you. If it's all these things going on and you're every woman and it's all in you, how the hell is abortion back in the air for you? My own personal opinions and beliefs about it notwithstanding. I'm talking about solely as it pertains to women and your well-being. You woke up yesterday, or you woke up today, and whether or not you have the right to get an abortion is now up in the air because 5 out of 9 people decided to write a manuscript overnight, and your rights are now changed. You got women. You just signed in a Sister Soul girl just a couple of days ago. You got multiple women on the board. You got Sotomayor. You got Jackson Brown. You got Cagle. You got multiple women on the board. And of that group of judges that is comprised of multiple women, this is the result you got. This is the result you got. Now, before we get to black women, let's focus on white women first. Like I said, the Democratic Party is a quote unquote big tent that's comprised of about 4 or 5 major groups, most of which aren't even major when it comes to contribution. You got the LGBTQ, you got all varieties of immigrants, you've got women, and then you got black people. And then you just have white liberals in general. White liberals, women, immigrants, and gays benefit greatly from the Democratic Party, which is powered completely by black people. The gay vote's never driven anything into law that didn't have nothing to do with just gay people. The gay vote has never pushed through a tax law. You see what I'm saying? The gay vote's never reduced homelessness. The gay vote don't give a shit about police reform or tax reform or foreign policy. The gay vote is strictly for the benefits of gay people. It's for gay rights only. Doesn't give 2 shits about anybody else's rights. Immigrants have not voted on a single thing that benefits anything other than immigration status. And many of the immigrants that come into the country, once they turn white, they turn around and close that damn gate for everybody else. I've already had an episode about that. White women are by far and large the biggest beneficiaries of the Democratic Party's policies. Far and away. And they get to hide behind black women to make it seem like as if they have some sort of a real plight, while being the biggest beneficiaries of literally everything that goes to women. Soon as some benefits get doled out to women, that black woman that you put at the front of your group, she gets tossed to the back and moved out the way quicker than you could believe. Now, if black people all of a sudden pulled all that support and effort that we do out of the political process and let all you other groups have to hold that big tent up by yourself, that tent's going to collapse. And I told you guys, I said every time the Democratic Party is going to be facing a loss of privilege, a loss of rights, a loss of comfort from losing the upcoming elections, they're going to have to kiss black ass a little bit harder. White women know that they can't win no Democratic elections to hopefully block Roe v. Wade going away. Going to have to switch your whole game plan to fighting on the state level in every state. They don't want to do that. That was the whole point of Roe v. Wade, to make it the law of the land so you don't have to fight these battles to where you can't get an abortion in Texas and you got to go over to Carolina and you got to go to a liberal state. They don't want to do that shit. And the one thing that was preventing you from having to do any of that stuff was black folks keeping enough Democrats in office all over the country to keep your personal rule that benefits you safe. Look what's going to be on the line. Like, let's go over some facts real quick, just to kind of let you know how in favor the deck is for you, black voter. I think you need to understand that. This whole myth about being powerless. We need to clear that up. So let's recap real quick. Like I said, you got gays, immigrants, general white liberals, like college white liberals and, limousine liberals, little rich white kids that were raised on the West Coast and the East Coast, right? You got gays, you got immigrants, you got white liberals in general, you got white women, and then you got black people that do all the running on the hamster wheel for the Democratic Party. That's what comprises the Big Tent. Now let's go down the line about how the Big Tent is going to be affected if black folks stop being the damn pole for the Big Tent. The midterm elections are going to be a red wave. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to look like a game video. It's going to be all red across the whole country during the midterms. It's going to be worse. When the midterms are fixing up to be this bad, it's usually worse than what they estimate. So you're going to see Democrats not only losing in all the spots you expect them to lose, but look for Democrats to lose in some places that are supposed to be Democratic strongholds, like California and the Northeast. You're going to lose some Democrats in New York. The whole country is going to be very red. And the first thing that this red wave is going to do, see, congressmen and women are different than senators. There's only 100 senators in the country. There's 400 and something congressmen and women. And congressmen and women, they got to run every 2 years. So that means that they're always constantly at the behest of their constituents and their donors, because they always got to run a campaign. So what that translates into is that they're always turned up with the rhetoric and with the action. They're always enticed and incentivized to be as confrontational and non-cooperative with the other side as possible. The congressional house is where you get all the bills, all the over-the-top bills introduced into law. They don't make it, but they get introduced and suggested at the congressional level. The most partisan, over-the-top, non-cooperative ass bills. All the fighting goes down at the House level. So what that means is you're going to have a bunch of fresh, sprightly, energized, spry Republicans riding a red wave of total majority in the House, feeling obligated to do things to earn their place and show why they got put in office. As soon as their feet hit the ground, they already got bills. And two things that are going to for sure be happening after this red wave is going to be a whole lot of reversals of stuff that the Democrats was trying to do, which wasn't much. Whole lot of reversals, a whole lot of right-leaning bills. You're going to see a whole lot of culture war-based bills. It's a lot easier to do culture war-based stuff when you get in office than it is to start doing tax and payment-based shit, stuff that moves money around. It's a lot easier to come in and start saying, hey, we're not going to be having all this gay shit. And it's a lot easier to come in doing culture war stuff. And it's a lot more, it gets a bigger reaction from your base. Two things that are going to be happening under a red wave Congress is there's going to be a whole lot of reversal and rhetoric and hand-wringing type bills that are going to be attention grabbers to try to appease the base. And there's going to be a whole lot of investigating on Joe Biden. Joe Biden, who's already a lame duck. Joe Biden was born a lame duck. He walked into office with every advantage in the White House that you could imagine. Every advantage in Hollywood that you could imagine. They don't even make fun of him on Saturday Night Live. And they got Jim Carrey playing Joe Biden. They did that just to tease people, to make it seem like it's going to be business as usual. We're going to rib the president. No, they've been protecting him. You're not allowed to make fun of him. You're not allowed to call out obvious issues. You got to be quiet around Joe Biden. All that's about to go away. They're about to be having him and his son under so many investigations, and that man can barely speak and move around. he's going to be completely immobilized as a president from introducing any policies that he had in mind. And this man had a 4-year head start, a complete and total majority in the House and Senate, and people's begrudging support due to the situation at the time. This is what happens when you get blue no matter who. Joe Biden was as no matter who as you can get. If you turned up the level on how no matter who Joe Biden was, you could have just had Donald Trump walk off the stage, put on a blue tie, and walk back on the stage and say, I'm a Democrat now. He's the same guy. You got scandals out the yang, obvious scandals, like where your own son is all but admitting that you're involved in a scandal. You over there working with the enemy while we're about to go to war with China and Russia, and you got oil ties and business ties with China. It's all bad, and they're about to eat you alive. So you can pretty much count Joe Biden's last 4 years as just a wash, and that's if he gets reelected, because midterms are smell test for the real election. Joe Biden has the same problem as Hillary Clinton. You never want to be a political candidate that only inspires your enemies. It's okay to inspire your enemies. See, if you inspire your enemies, but you inspire your allies, you're controversial. You're polarizing, right? This is what people say the phrase, love them or hate them, right? There's no in between, but you tilt the room either way. When you inspire only your friends, when you inspire only your allies, your allies, excuse me. When you inspire only your allies, you're known as a motivating figure. And usually people like that, they kind of become more symbolic in their leadership because they don't want to do anything controversial that makes them a love them or hate them person. But when you're a person that only inspires your enemies, you're completely, I shouldn't say completely useless, but for what you want to do, like be the leader, that's going to be very difficult because nobody wants to follow you. And the only people that pay attention to you can't stand your ass. It's very easy to undermine you. It's very, very easy to block you out. And Joe Biden right now, nobody listens to Joe Biden. They just understand that Joe Biden is a role. He's the president. Most people don't understand what he's saying. He's turning around, talking to people that aren't there and shaking hands with invisible other presidents and shit. And we're just hoping that we can stumble through a couple more years without him getting us into any kind of major blunder. And yet here we are in a major blunder. We're facing World War III, inflation out the ass, food shortages, civil unrest, a lowering of our place and our standard in the world as a country. You was talking all that anti-Russian shit for about a good 12 years, Democratic Party. And now when Russia's in your face, you can't do shit. You look weak. You're playing this game all the way wrong. The independents don't like you. The Republicans been not liked you. And the Democrats, your Democratic base don't like you. And worse still, your vice president, the person that the establishment Democrats and the elites originally wanted because they felt like she was the perfect symbol. She's a woman. She's blackish, but not too black because she's got a white husband. So we've got some control there, right? That person who you originally wanted, she's shown herself to be so inept on the political stage of anything bigger than just being a black symbol. Remember what I just said about only inspiring your enemies. Black folks didn't get up for Kamala Harris. And white folks didn't like it because they just assumed they were going to have to deal with black folks. She only inspired her enemies. Hell, black folks didn't even bring them out for Jackson Brown because we understand symbolism when we see it now. None of that sister girl, black girl magic shit. Same if it was a black dude. We fell for Obama. Never again. Now the political Democratic elites, they don't like Kamala Harris because they realize they're not getting a return on their investment. It's so bad. You got the Democratic elites and powers that be trying to figure out how they're going to scramble and change the ticket. Do you know how bad it is for an elected party during re-election to just be like, screw it, let's put 2 new people up there? Because the guy in front, the guy in front having health complications, an elder statesman who's been in office for decades, having diminished capacity. That's one thing. That's unfortunate, but that kind of stuff happens. You got the same thing going on with Dianne Feinstein. You got a similar thing going on with Nancy Pelosi. You got Bernie Sanders, old ass, talking about running one more time. The whole political office needs one big ass blood transfusion. It needs fresh blood. And you can't say that young people could be inexperienced because the experience that we have in office right now has got us the results that we have, right? So that's not going to fly. People can understand Joe Biden need to be removed from office or he's not running again this year because, his health is poor. And we clearly saw cognitive decline. And we don't want to abuse the elderly, right? It could be any one of us someday. We may not agree with his political positions, but we don't want to see a guy go up there and go through that in public, right? Especially during wartime. People can understand Joe Biden no longer being on the ticket. But that's literally why you have a vice president. So if you're also going and saying, hey, let's get rid of her too, because nobody likes that bitch. Like, now people are going, well, then why did you force her on us? She wasn't leading in any kind of polls during the primaries. Nobody was following or checking for her. She was just a black symbol that needed to go in office to appease black voters. Just like Ketanji Jackson Brown. And you got zero return on that investment. You got zero return on that investment. So let's go back. So if you're a white woman, well, if you're a woman in general, but let's be honest, white women benefit the most from Roe v. Wade. You just lost abortion rights because black people are pulling out of the Democratic Party. They're not going into the Republican Party. We're just pulling out, disengaging, and no longer getting involved because all this politics shit doesn't affect us anymore. Who we vote for doesn't matter. They're not even in to even benefit us. They don't even run on what benefits us anymore. You notice that? They go over to the Hispanic communities and tell you we're going to do this, and that, promising to cancel student loans and shit, even if they're lying, giving them promises. You go to the gay communities, you promise all sorts of shit and give them federal rights and attach them on to black civil rights bills like it's the same shit. You do all this stuff for white women's groups, but when it comes to black people, what's the move? To tell you the shit that's already in place that trickles down and eventually benefits you. That's the game. And niggas ain't falling for that no more. So we're saying, okay, let that shit trickle down to everybody else. We're going to cut off this damn trickle. We're going to redirect the water. Every right that any other group in the big tent loses is a net benefit for black voters. Because now we come right back to what I said at the beginning, where you got to buy dope from us. You can't win shit in the Democratic Party without the black vote. No matter how you try to slice it, no matter how you try to cobble all them Mexican votes and all them immigrant votes and all them gay votes together, you're going to need niggas at the end of the day. And niggas ain't coming. I told you. Go back and check these episodes. I told you. I said once the Democratic Party loses the midterm election, you're going to see all the bullshit. See the first thing that the Democratic Party likes to do when the black vote gets out of line, because this has happened before, and it really amazes me how much this is like a video game. How you go through the levels and you face the same enemies doing the same attack patterns every time. And once you get the puzzle, you can walk right through and speed run this shit. It's the same shit every time. The first thing that the Democratic Party is going to try to do when black voters ain't cooperating is come out with campaigns telling you how all the shit the Democratic Party does benefits you. They're not going to come out with any new policy. The second thing the Democratic Party is going to do when the black vote ain't getting in line is they're going to try to change the terms and definitions of the shit you say you want and make it match what they're already going to do. Oh, okay, we're going to cancel student loans. That's going to be a form of reparations for you. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and decriminalize marijuana in these cities, and that's going to be a form of tangibles for black people. No, we're not going to play that game where you do shit for everybody and then talk about how it's going to benefit niggas arbitrary. Nope. The third thing the Democratic Party is going to do, and this is why I'm laughing that, damn, y'all really dusted this nigga off after all these, I didn't know he's still alive, is they come out and try to browbeat the black community, talk a little shit, make it seem like, see, white Democratic politics sees black people as like the Oompa Loompas from Willy Wonka. Like, we should be grateful that they rescued us. I don't know where they get this story from and how they sold it to us like this, but niggas be falling for it. Like they did us a favor. It's always kind of a low-key threat behind it. Like, we could let you niggas go back into slavery. We saved you from these Southern Republican whites, and we could always let you go back in there, right? No, you didn't. They really dusted off Southern Cajun Skeletor, James fucking Carville, to come out and talk his little shit with his little skeleton face about what the black people and what the black vote should appreciate from the Democratic Party. And that was the dumbest thing you could literally do, because now you done motivated us to really be stubborn and not cooperate with you. Now you done really did it. And finally, the last thing that the Democratic Party is going to do when the black vote don't cooperate is fold and capitulate. That's what they're going to do. You see, if the Democratic Party was sincere about getting black tangibles for the black community, but it really was faced with the daunting problem of the black vote is toxic to the rest of the country. If anybody in the country sees us doing anything for black people, they're going to fight against it, and it's going to be DOA right off top. You see how hard they came out against critical race theory, even though that wasn't even really something for or from black people, but they heard black people in the title or something, and that just raises white folks' cackles, right? Even if that were the case, which I'm not saying it isn't, if you were really dedicated towards getting benefits to black people, you would do what politicians are actually known for doing, which is mixing your bills in with other bills. You can't sit there and tell me that you can't sneak in provisions for black people or that can be beneficial to black people specifically, but you can sneak in provisions in your budgeting that gives military aid to Nazi groups that you specifically have named and said, do not give money to them. You know how to slip things in the fine print. You do it all the time. We know what pork barrel spending is. You know how to slip things in the fine print. Joe Manchin do it all the time. So we don't even want to hear them excuses. You've been getting over all this time. The reason why you haven't been doing shit for black people is because you haven't had to. Hell, you tried that line on us yourselves. Remember when Obama was in office for 8 years and didn't do shit for black people? And what was the Democratic Party's response? You didn't demand anything from them. Oh, okay. Bet. We remembered that. Now we're demanding shit. Now again, let's do a tally. I'm sorry I got off track here. Women, gays, immigrants, limousine liberals, and black people. Limousine liberals, you ain't getting no cancellation of no student debt with no Republican House and Senate and a Republican president. You're not getting none of that shit. To be truthful, you wouldn't get it under Biden, but they're trying to hint at it so that you feel like you have something to lose once the Democrats lose the election. You're not getting none of that shit, but you're damn sure not getting it under a Republican House, Senate, and president. immigrants. One of the first things a Republican government's going to start doing is putting America first. And the way they're going to do that, the quickest, easiest, and cheapest way, they know that those factories are never coming back. But the few jobs that are here, they're not going to be having good white folk Americans competing with a bunch of influx of foreigners for it. That caravan, all that shit, there's going to be a reverse caravan in a minute. We don't even know where you niggas are going to go. You're just not going to be here no more. They're going to cut off the gates first. They're going to cut off the pipeline. Trump told you what the plan was originally, and this wasn't even a Trump plan. He was just parroting it. He was just championing it. They were saying we're going to go back to old school immigration rules where you're coming here because you got a specific skill set. And once you're done doing that specific skill set that we need you to do, you can go right back. You're here on a work visa that doesn't just keep getting renewed indefinitely. No. What you here for? Oh, you working on that one project downtown? Okay. Hey, looks like that project wrapped up. Okay, come up right this way. We got a plane ticket for you. Come on, we're going to go. So, again, gays, women, immigrants, limousine liberals, and black folks. The immigrants are going to have to go back home under a red wave, or you can't come through here as much no more. That'll greatly diminish your numbers. That'll greatly diminish your power. There's going to be focus on making sure Americans get their jobs and American tax-paying, American registered citizens get business, primary business focus, right? You know, we're going to switch the advantage back to American, not all this super duper duper immigrant talk, right? You're going to see the language change. So the immigrants, sorry. Gays, you already know what it is. You already know. If they're passing bills that you're identifying as the don't say gay bill, right? The gays, you already know what time it is. People have been tired of your shit for a while. You took things way too far. Limousine liberals, your student loan debt ain't getting canceled. You're going to be in a lot of trouble. Your economy's jacked up. You've inherited hell, right? So you're angry. All those little liberal promises you never got and you're never going to get now because you're not going to have those guys in office and they weren't doing shit for you when they were in office. And women, what do I got to say other than you ain't even going to be able to choose if you can get an abortion or not in a minute. All because you let the last group in your big tent go hungry all this time. You let black people sit there and die off, knowing that we're Hodor, knowing that we hold the door. You guys have been using our name, using our likeness, but excluding us from being able to be actual sentient, cooperating, participating beings in this political process for so long. Y'all, white liberals go around calling shit racist that they don't like, and they don't got shit to do with race. They'll use and invoke discrimination against black people for everything except for shit that actually discriminates against black people. You notice that? Well, if you don't agree with getting this vaccine, you're racist because like what? They've just gotten so used to and so comfortable with just using that and diluting our justice claim and just commandeering our likeness that they just slap that shit on everything. It's like ranch dressing to them. But now when people can visually see the black folks ain't behind you no more, those words don't carry no weight. Black folks didn't even get up in arms about critical race theory. Because when you start actually reading the stuff they're trying to teach in school, you're realizing, oh, they're not really talking about the real history of what white folks really did. They're not teaching our actual black history in critical race theory. They just turned it into a bunch of gay shit. They just used a bunch of gay terms and cisgender white male, and that shit ain't got shit to do with shit. You're still lying about what happened in history. You're still sugarcoating it and whitewashing it. So once again, you're wearing our likeness, you're invoking our name, you're speaking about us as if we're involved and we're not even here. The symbolism don't work no more for black folks. It's a wrap. And because you treated black folks so poorly, because you thought these niggers are going to fall for this forever, where else are they going to go? Nigga, we're just going to go home. You've officially made it so bad. It's like when you're in the Middle East, when you've made things so bad that people think that a good strategy to deal with you is to blow themselves up around you. There's not really much you can threaten somebody with that's gotten to that point. What are you going to do, put them in jail? There was a jail somewhere in Afghanistan one time that they tried to keep a bunch of Afghan soldiers in. They blew it up. Like, what you think they're going to do? They walked out by blowing it up. They'll blow themselves up. You've made their environment so desolate and so desperate that they're like, to hell with this. I'm going to blow myself up just to get you. You can't shoot that person. I mean, you could, but you know. And that's what you've done to the black vote. You've done the black person so bad that we're like, you can't threaten us about what'll happen if we don't vote no more. We don't get shit from you. We get backsliding when you're in office. The only difference between us voting and us not voting, it's the same suffering for us. But see, black folks saw something under Trump that you shouldn't have let us see. We noticed that the difference between Trump being in office and vote blue no matter who in office is that when Trump's in office, everybody gets a little bit of the pain. We saw all y'all struggling. It was breaking news every day. He was embarrassing y'all on the world stage, changing rules and shit that was messing y'all's lives up, not just black people's. When the Democrats get in office, that pain gets attenuated to focus just on black people. Foreign aid's getting delivered to everybody else. We got to get those Hispanics out of cages. We got to go help the Afghanis. We got to do this for the gays. We got to stop Asian hate. And then when it comes to the black folks, oh, I can't just be governing just black folks. No, I got to do this for all Americans. So when the Democrats get in office, it gets attenuated to just the black folks who suffer. And we get pats on the head for our graciousness and our durability and our strength through struggle. To hell with all that shit. To hell with all that shit. Now, the only group in the black community that hasn't been falling for the bullshit has been straight black males. Straight black males have been completely disillusioned and disassociated from the bullshit and from the charms of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party hasn't even been trying to reach straight black males. Which is weird because you would think you would need all your voting base. It's not like black males have a history of not voting for the Democratic Party. It's like 97 to 93%. 97% black female turnout, 93% black male turnout when we're motivated. So it's pretty neck and neck. And I don't think they've ever given a stat that differentiates between straight black and gay black male voters. Haven't seen one of those yet. But you got a lot of black women, and particularly a lot of black gays that bow at the feet of the Democratic Party, even against their own race, even against their own people. And it's produced nothing for the communities across America. It's produced nothing for the black communities. So all these black faces in high places don't mean shit. So now you've got a black voter base that's demanding something real that you have no intentions on giving them. And we have no problems with playing chicken. We're not bluffing at all. We'll take everybody off the cliff with us. We live off the cliff. You can't threaten us with shit. All the stuff you guys are going through now, shit we live every day. You guys are tripping about having to get checked and I can't go into the store. Black folks got to deal with that shit all day. Now we all getting stopped and frisked. Now you all are losing your job because you won't comply and get a shot. And, yep. Now you guys are all these white folks are scrambled and worried about their gun rights and shit. Yep. Welcome to nigger world. This is being black. This is just a little taste. This is like a little Whitman sampler of being a black person. And you crying and can't take it. Look at that. Black folks can deal with another 4 years of a crazy ass Republican government. We can deal with that. Can you, limousine liberal? Can you, white woman? Can you, liberal gay? Can you, immigrant? No, you can't. Look at how nervous the Africans are getting right now after that guy from the Congo got killed on live TV and ain't no charges coming. Oh no. Oh no. Who are you going to run to in a red wave where it's going to be back the blue no matter who, right? Who are you going to run to in a red wave when some shit like that happens? African immigrant. And you done pissed off. Your liberal friends are gone. The liberal friends that brought you in here are gone. And now you're dealing with the president who knew not Joseph, right? And now you're sitting here in the middle of a foreign land with a king that don't know you and don't got no obligation to you. And really, his constituents want you to get his constituents want him to get rid of you. The whole game done changed. And the one group that you could normally hide behind, black people, you done pissed us off so much, we done told them, yeah, you can have them. You can have them. We'll look the other way. It's a perfect storm. It's fixing up right good for black people to where, like I told you, after this midterm election, which we literally don't have to do anything. All we got to do is not show up, and we don't even got to put effort into making black people not show up. We don't have to put together any kind of effort or organization to get black people not to vote, because niggas never vote in the midterms, and niggas are less enthusiastic to vote this year than any other midterm beforehand. If we didn't come out the midterm after Obama got elected, you know we're not coming out for Joe Biden. Let's just keep it real. And there's nothing on the line for us. There's absolutely nothing to protect. He told you nothing would fundamentally change. And hey, I got to give him credit. He kept his word. He's just been in a basement, in a bunker somewhere like Dick Cheney for 4 years. Yeah, he's going to lose a lot in the midterm. And what you're going to see happen now from mainstream media and from the left is managing the loss. Managing the loss. You're going to be told, black people, Democratic voters, you're going to be told that these losses are normal as part of midterm elections and they're not that bad. And we're going to regroup and it doesn't have any kind of bearing on the general election coming up in 2 years and yada, yada, yada. And behind the scenes, they're going to be scrambling and panicking because midterm elections are totally a reflection on what's coming up in the general election. It's not normal at all to lose as many seats as they're about to lose in the midterms. Yeah, you do lose a few seats. Typically, you lose about 20 seats in the midterms. Unless you're having a stellar presidency. You don't lose half. You don't lose a third. You don't lose in non-battleground states. You don't lose in states that are supposed to be Democratic strongholds. Those things are signs of end times politically. Those aren't normal at all. But you're going to be told that those things are normal to manage the panic in a little bit. But behind the scenes, you're going to see all sorts of concessions and misinformation being made to try to curry the favor of black people again. You're going to see all sorts of frenzied stories to whip fervor up in black people about how racist the Republicans are. You notice that's all they ever be having. You need to vote for Joe Biden because you remember how racist Donald Trump was. Okay, they're both racist. We're not coming out. And you guys are going to have to deal with the pain now. We want the pain to spread to everybody. If you could make a bill that says stop Asian hate, But you can't make one that says no nigger hate. We got a problem. You've now created a pecking order. You've now created a racial hierarchy in the country. You've now created a caste system. But like I said, black folks, we don't have to do anything. Let these midterms rock out. See, the only thing we got to do, and this is a good war strategy. Remember, politics is warfare. All you have to do sometimes in war is be able to take the credit of something that was accomplished. And in politics, information's coming by so fast, no one even has time to even double check and make sure you're telling the truth. If you have a coordinated black campaign, not to get people not to vote, but simply to take the credit and direct the narrative of why black people aren't voting, because that's the next thing Democratic shills are going to do. They're going to tell you that the losses aren't that bad and that there's always losses during the midterms. And then they're going to start making excuses and doing some splaining as to why black people didn't come up. They're going to say, well, you know, black people normally don't turn out for the election, which is true, right? And you know, there was confusion. There was confusion from the black community as to what they were. No, bullshit. You need to focus all our energy. ADOS, FBA, DACS, Phil Scott, all energy from black voices that have voices need to be focused on saying, no. We're cognitively fully aware of why we're not voting. This is an active thing, even though it's not. This is an active thing. It's not. This is an active thing we're doing. We didn't show up for a reason. And that reason was we don't rock with you. Right? We want these things done or we're never going to vote for you again. And what's going to happen with all of these things on the line? Notice I didn't even mention this war. That's how much stuff is stacked on the table in your favor, black voter. I didn't even mention the fact that they're at war right now. When you can't galvanize the country together during wartime, there is no bigger indication that you don't lead or direct your country. If you got an active war going on that you can't sell to the people, people don't understand how important winning hearts and minds is. I mean, it's literally one of the sections of Sun Tzu's Art of War. You can't win a war if you don't win the hearts and minds of your people, because it won't be seen as a just war. You won't have support. Morale will be low. That's how Vietnam went bad. Or one of the reasons Vietnam went bad. And right now, you can't really even sell this war to the majority of the American public. It's a corporate supported war. The only people you see driving around with Stand With Ukraine stickers and shit are companies that are forced to do that shit. White people walking around don't give a shit because they get their news sources and their information from other places aside from the mainstream media now. So you can't sell that one-sided narrative. Can't sell it like you used to. You don't have influence over your people anymore. And you certainly don't have influence over black people no more. So that's why you see them doing desperate things like trying to pass bills forcing black people to vote for them. Remember I said it's going to be illegal not to vote for Joe Biden? Y'all thought I was joking when I said that. It's very difficult to explain why the election process is important, even in an autocratic, authoritarian society, because it's what makes it not look like an autocratic, authoritarian society. You ever wonder why you see countries where it's clear that, like, the president got a fiefdom? It's clear that it's corrupt, right? But there's an election and the nigga wins 99.9%. Like, oh, he's won the election again with 100% of the vote, right? Like, why was there a vote? To make it look like it's a democratic government. Some countries are better at doing this than others. We're number one. But even we're screwing up right now. And what you don't want to see as a secretly autocratic authoritarian government that's disguised as a democracy, you don't want the ceremony, the pomp and circumstances of what's supposed to be a democratic society not being participated in. Because then it just gives up the whole charade. If you look around and ain't nobody voting no more because everybody realizes that it's a sham and it's just a courtesy, it's just a ceremony, you can't justify anybody being in office. There is no mandate. Look at how nobody really follows Joe Biden right now because nobody was inspired to vote for him. They were just voting against the idea of Donald Trump. And the second that he's not the president no more, what's the point of this Joe Biden dude? That's how that goes. So you got black folks that are just completely non-involved in this big tent party, and the party's over. So between the midterms and the general election, you're going to see a lot of mashing and moaning and mashing of teeth and shit. And then by about halfway, about 1 year in after the midterms and the red wave, the Democratic Party is going to have to bend the knee to the black vote. And you're going to see a whole lot of concessions made, a whole lot of offerings made. It's going to sound like a goodie bag at first. It's going to be made at the state and local level first, because that's going to be the only places Democrats have any influence, is in individual little blue state, blue city areas. I would suggest, this is just my own personal suggestion, but who am I? I would attack California first if I were the black vote. You've been getting pushed out of California, pushed out of your homes with obviously racial targeting, underhanded tactics and policies. They've been filtering you out because somehow magically all the Hispanic immigrants coming in are safe from these policies. It's just your black ass that's been catching this hell. And you need to call that shit out. We're about to have a year and a half to 2 years to just call the Democratic Party out on their shit and get some corrective action from them on a state and local level. And then we're going to need to take that show on the road to the national ticket. You guys are on timeout for a minute. You've been behaving very badly. You have not been living up to your expectations of what the little we expected from the Democratic Party. We're about to be in the driver's seat. America is hyperinflated, money depreciating, the jobs are getting affected, the food's running out, you're at war all over the world, you're stripping away people's rights. They're going to have to start cutting a lot of these immigrants off. Look how many immigrants that they didn't let fly in the last year. Afghans, Ukrainians, all white folks. We was whipping the shit out of Haitians that was trying to come over here and get a burger at the border. We were whipping the shit out of them with actual whips on horseback like it was 1853. But you got a caravan for the Hispanics. All that shit's finna get shut down for a minute because they're going to be focusing on white immigrants. White out the box. Not none of that Charlie Sheen shit where it takes a couple of generations. White, fresh out the box, fresh off the showroom floor, blonde hair, blue-eyed white. Like Cat Williams said, white. Give me the vice presidents, right? They're going to give you straight white in a minute. So you niggas is getting put. You Nigerians are going to be the first niggas to go. The first niggas to go. And don't believe me. Don't believe a word I'm saying. Donald Trump had a bill to ban Nigerians on his way out the door. And they're about to let him or somebody more competent than him in the Republican Party back in office. And they're going to pick up right where they left off. And you know where it's going to be even more awkward is this time when they introduce the Nigerian ban, black Americans aren't going to come save you. We're going to be with it. We're going to be all for it. They'll be able to use us as cover fire. Hey, guys, this Nigerian ban has nothing to do with race. This is about nationality and Americanism. In fact, We have all these black American voters behind us and in 100% support of this. Bye. Bye. Take that suya spice with you. That's how it's going to go. And you forced our hand on this. If y'all would have just been decent folks on even a personal level, if the average African American were able to just go, nah, man, them Africans is cool, man. I got 4 or 5 African homies. The fact that a lot of black Americans can't even say that speaks to something very sad with our relationship. So yeah, we're going to let them niggas take y'all niggas away. Like, again, none of this stuff is stuff that black Americans have to actively do. This is going to be the shit that these white folks is going to do naturally when they have to batten down the hatches. Then they have to circle the wagons. They got to close off all the gates. They don't got a lot to share no more. And you niggas are the first niggas to get cut off. You want even more proof? Because this is what happens in all these countries. Shout out. See, my family had to get me right. I did a whole episode talking about the Ukrainians and how they did them Africans wrong on them trains. And my family had to get me right and say, to hell with them Africans in Ukraine, bro. They running. If they would have made it here, those would have been the same Africans in your face talking about you lazy and you don't work hard. They was doing fine in the Ukraine until the war broke out. And what happened when the war broke out? The first people that was expendable, the first people that they weren't even putting on trains, say, hey, man, women and children first, no animals. They weren't worried about you. People can be cool with you. See, being an immigrant, being a refugee is a lot like being a side chick. It's not even like being a side chick. It's like being the hoe. It's like being the number 3. You're the hoe to some rich nigga. Y'all meet up, y'all have sex, y'all kick it. He might take you shopping. He might pay your rent. He might let you lay up in his mansion with him every now and then, ride his car or something like that, or just be around him and some rich shit. But at the end of the day, if his baby mom call, hell, even if his side chick call, hey, bitch, shut up real quick. He talked to you any kind of way. You're like Carr and Superhead Steffens. Right? You kicking it with all these rappers and shit. But if a nigga decide to just want to literally throw you in a dumpster for fun, you got to sit there and laugh it off and take that shit. You're a scavenger hoe. When shit goes bad, you got to leave. You're not a serious part of the family or that nigga's life like that. You're a fun time girl. Hey, girl, my baby mama's coming. You got to bounce. Right? Hell, if the baby mama found out about you, they'd be arguing for a few days, but they got kids together. They'll work it out. You're out the picture. You ran your mouth. You're expendable. You're the first thing getting cut off if shit goes bad. You're the temp worker. The second that company's losing money, no matter how good you did, you got to go. That was the benefit of you, is there's no ties to you. That's what made you attractive to them. That's why I played that video where I showed you how heartbroken that African dude would be if even the thought of white liberals not liking him, of not liking those African immigrants. He was scared. No, don't say that. He didn't even want to put that thought in his head. So imagine how that kind of African is going to deal. It's the episode where I said the Nigerian immigrant lets the cat out the bag. Imagine how that kind of African is going to deal with a red wave in office saying, all you Nigers can go. All you niggas can go. I go back to that Patrick Lyola case where you saw that Congolese man get shot by the police. Did you notice that his family and his friends kept specifying that he's Congolese? They didn't say, hey, man, this is an African. Hey, this is a Nigerian. See, Africans are starting to understand. This is something else I said a while ago. I said, you're going to know when this diaspora shit is this diaspora war shit is starting to bite these Africans in America in the ass a little bit. Not African Americans, Africans in America, Nigerian Americans, etc. You're going to know this whole diaspora beef that they got popping off is starting to bite them in the ass a little bit. when you start hearing other Africans living in the country specify that they're not Africans, but specify where they're from in Africa. And do you know why Africans are starting to specify where they're from in Africa? I'll do a whole separate episode about this. They're starting to specify where they're from in Africa because African immigrant is starting to be synonymous with Nigerian. Those are far and away the largest group of African immigrants everywhere. And Nigerians got a bad reputation. And Africans living in America, anybody who turns on YouTube, you're starting to see that as things get revealed, a lot of that African versus African American beef really be Nigerian versus Black American beef. The most boisterous ones in the room. See, you thought it was going to be one way, Nigerian. You thought it was going to be one way, but it's the other way. You thought it was going to be where Black folks was damn near dying off in America and you was going to come in and take over. Y'all would literally use the phrase take over, as in to take from somebody and replace. And now that the shit's going sour, you just realize you exposed your hand and you don't got a friend in the game no more. You exposed your hand. Black Americans see you for what you are. And all these other Africans living here who are in much smaller numbers, who may have been on the same bullshit, but are now smart enough to see that ain't going to work. Now they're trying some corrective action and going, we're not Nigerian. Them saying a Congolese man, they were trying to specify that in order to get favor with the Black American community. This is not a Nigerian. They killed a Congolese man. They know we don't got beef with the Congo niggas like we do with Nigeria. They didn't say a black man. They didn't say an African man. They said a Congolese man to let you know this nigga's not Nigerian. Because they know if they'd have came out and said a Nigerian man, see, people saw what happened with that Nigerian dude that got stabbed to death by that white girl and all the coon shit he was saying and all that Akata shit. And they saw how the Black American community didn't even react. You notice that? There weren't no marches for that nigga. There weren't no justice for whatever his name was. People I don't even remember his name. And I did a whole video on him. Them Africans saw that. See, people do a lot of fronting in life. And all the fronting Africans do when they come here, the Black Americans, they do nothing. They're lazy. And deep down, they know if shit goes down, they have to lean on Black Americans for help. Look at the Africans in the Ukraine. First people they was crying to, we need America, we need Black America to help. Yeah, you do. You do. Because if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear the sound, it don't even make a sound. And if a nigga gets left on a train in Ukraine and it don't make the U.S. news, it never happened. And niggas was trying to shoot you some bail. We made an effort to get that shit put on the news. Then niggas found out it was a lot of Nigerians. They said, good luck. Y'all work hard. Y'all better work your way out that country. If y'all would have made it over here, y'all would have been talking big shit about us. Y'all would have helped to suppress our battle cries like y'all always do. So yeah, everybody in this big tent is going to be catching hell now, not just Black folks. And we can take it. We can take the heat. So just like I said, everybody's doing perfect. Everybody's playing their role perfect. Phil Scott has been whooping ass with back to back poignant episodes on the goings on of the fuckery of the Democratic Party as it pertains to the Black vote. Tariq Nasheed's been doing an excellent job breaking down the meaning, the strategy, the thought process behind the bullshit the Democratic Party is doing with the Black vote and keeping people on code. One of my personal favorites, who I feel like should be up there, TD Hip Hop Media. I love the way he gives these stories in edible, bite-sized pieces that are just facts, straight raw data about the goings on of the Democratic Party, breaking down all the scandal. His videos on Jim Clyburn and the inner family embezzlement. Excellent. It's Cronkite level. This is the new black media. Oh, Jason Black. Jason Black has been badgering fake old black media for so long and dismantling fake old black media for so long. Roland Martin is obsessed with this man. Got him calling him out by name. When you get them calling you by name, you've won. That means you're in their head. We've been doing an excellent job letting them know, putting a voice on the action or the inaction of voting and saying, here's why we not coming. Here's why we not coming. Because you're not hitting it right. That's why, nigga. We're not coming this year. We like DJ Envy's wife. We've been faking it the whole time. We're not coming. And when the midterms happen, because like I told you, white folks can't see black people unless it's on a spreadsheet, unless it's on something quantifiable. And a voting ballot is very quantifiable. When they do them exit polls and they go, damn, black folks came in at lower numbers than they ever do, even in midterms. Damn, we lost in places. We lost in Democratic strongholds like Massachusetts and Vermont and shit. Damn. Post midterms, they're going to have to do some serious soul searching and reconfigure how they address us. All the tricks don't work no more. All the getting black people worked up about. See what really, really scared them was when black people didn't budge on voting rights. That whole voter ID shit, we ain't falling for that. We ain't falling for that. All the tricks don't work no more. So you're going to have to play ball. They know that now. They're going to have to play ball. They're going to have to cut the bullshit and break that checkbook out that we done seen you do all year long for the Ukraine, all year long for Asians, all year long for Hispanics, all year long for gays. Breaking out an unlimited checkbook. We know you got it. See the black vote done went from panhandling to stick up kid, right? It went from, hey man, can I hold something, to, hey bro, I know you got that, man. Tap them pockets before I blow your brains out. Come here. It's always funny. People go from I ain't got it to please don't hurt me and pull their whole wallet out. When you go from panhandling to stick up kid. Just understand that. We've got them in a position to where they're going to have to comply. All we got to do is hold steady. All we got to do is hold steady. And see, and this thing can snowball real bad. I'm going to make a separate episode about this as well, but I do want to touch on it. I disagree with Yvette Cardinale's stance on Marcel Dixon. If your stance is you ain't going to win anyway, off in the corner, that's just some hating ass shit. And it also, I hate to say it, but it shows a lack of political imagination. If you think that the point of a Marcel Dixon is to defeat Jim Clyburn, and if he does not defeat Jim Clyburn, then the Marcel Dixon experience is a failure, you're missing the point. When is the last time Jim Clyburn has even been primaried? If you're getting primaried, see, this is something we're not realizing. Jim Clyburn being primaried in an all-black district by a black person that's not a Republican agent or somebody sent by the establishment. He's really an actual bona fide grassroots black candidate that's running against him. That in and of itself is embarrassing. That in and of itself, as I've said before in a previous episode, it's so easy to be a black politician in a black city for the Democratic Party that this allows the Democratic Party to not even have to spend money on campaigns in black cities and black districts. They do not spend comparative money in black cities and black districts on their black candidates that they do for their white candidates, because they don't have to, because black people will just vote for the nigga. But if you got a Jim Clyburn who's never had to spend a dime on a campaign because he's the black guy there, now all of a sudden you have to put effort out. Not even just money, effort out. You're running away from debates with a nigga. You're scared to come out your house and talk because everything that you say is now on the chopping block. Black folks is actually looking at you and paying attention to you and realizing you ain't shit. That's worth its weight in gold, even if the man don't win. He's not supposed to win. He don't have the political war chest that a Jim Clyburn do, right? And it's kind of funky for an Yvette Carnell to be sitting back talking about you ain't going to win anyway, when part of the ADOS strategy was to work with Marianne Williamson, who we knew she didn't have a snowball's chance in hell of winning no election. But that wasn't the point. The point wasn't to go, we're going to put all our eggs in Marianne Williamson. The point, as was stated by Yvette Carnell herself on her own episode, the point of dealing with Marianne Williamson was to send a message to the Democratic Party of this is how you engage with the black vote. This is how you court us. This is the language we like to hear. This is the policies we want to see enacted. Now, if Marianne Williamson doesn't get in these primaries, we want to see her policies, her temperament, her attitude, her tone with us adopted by the next leading politician from your primaries. That's how primaries work. You're sitting back seeing what works with the people. There's always somebody who ain't got a snowball's chance in hell of winning, but people like what he said. And then it's up to the more popular candidate to go, yeah, me too. I'll do all that, but I got a real chance of winning. You knew Marianne Williamson didn't have no damn. Marianne Williamson could barely get enough votes and enough money up to even get on the debates. But you had her sitting up there at the whole ADOS conference because she was engaging you correctly. She was speaking the right language. She was barely on code. So we're not looking for Marcel Dixon to win. If Marcel Dixon comes in with 1% of the vote, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The Democratic Party is going to be scared with that shit. They're going to go, damn, we had to put money. Jim Clyburn had to campaign. And I'm not talking new shit. I've said this before. They're going to look at Jim Clyburn. They're going to look at Jim Clyburn like an old floodlight and go, damn, that light's flickering. I need to change that light bulb. Damn, Jim Clyburn's been running strong for 15, 20 years doing coon work without nary even an election. No one's ever challenged him. No one's ever even shown displeasure. But now he's got little young upstarts running against him and they're getting 1 and 2 and dare I say 3% of the vote. Oh, no, it's time to get a new Jim Clyburn. We need a new coon. We have to update our coon. Pulling focus off of what they normally focus on and making them have to put focus on things that used to be sure things, like black districts, that diminishes the Democratic Party's focus all over. We know how elections work. When Hillary Clinton was going up against Donald Trump, what were they saying was the signs of the end for her? The fact that she had to go in there and fight in Pennsylvania and go get vote. Those are supposed to be blue Democratic strongholds. You're supposed to be fighting and moving into independent voter and swing voter territory, not fighting to keep what you already got. It's a bad story and bad publicity and a bad look and bad optics for them to even say Jim Clyburn is getting primaried, to even say Jim Clyburn has to run against somebody. And this person got Jim Clyburn running from the polls. Do you know how much support, how much airtime the Republican Party would be willing to give a Marcel Dixon to talk to the black vote. So I feel like those statements lack political imagination and they just smell like hate. I don't know what's going on with Yvette. I'll be honest with you. And I kind of want to do another episode about that too, because I'm getting a little concerned with how she's moving. But as far as the black vote is concerned, everything is setting up at the table how you want it to. And it's just a matter of how we handle it. All we got to do is stay our black asses home for this election cycle. Let the rest of the country deal with hell. We need to batten the hatches. If I were a black voter, which this year I'm not going to be. That's why I said it like that. If I were a black voter, right now I would be more focused on getting ready for the economic fallout that's coming than who's going to be the president. Start storing up your food if you haven't already done so. Go ahead and get some protection if you haven't already done so. Start making provisions and security updates to your house and your cameras and your doors if you haven't already done so. Because the poorer people are about to get out here, the higher the crime finna go. You know that. And you know the first people that are going to be cut off from any resources is going to be us. That's just how it's going to be anyway. So sit back and get ready. And look at how these folks is about to go crazy in a minute. And just sit back, be meek, and be ready to inherit the earth. Because after these midterms, the Democratic Party is going to come to you with a whole new attitude. The tone's going to be changed. You're not going to see no more James Carvilles. They know seeing that little Skeletor looking dude is going to just be a non-starter for black folks, right? They're going to have people out there talking real talk to you, trying to figure out how to get your vote. They can't go to anybody else. They got to buy dope from us. And truth be told, you're going to get a little bit of surprise courting from the Republicans during the general election. It's going to be fake, as is the Democratic attention. It's going to be fake, but you're definitely going to want to use that as leverage. The threat of you sound like a Trump supporter is going to ring hollow to the black voter now. When you say something that the Democratic Party considers off code and they try to hit you with you sound like a Trump supporter, now the response is, maybe. What are his policies? What's he got for me? You can't threaten the Trump is racist when Joe Biden's also a racist, right? So this is going to be a very interesting political cycle. These midterms are going to be the standoff of all standoffs. We're going to let them suffer. And like I said before, the energy needs to be put in controlling the narrative. If you're not careful and you let them weather the storm and control this narrative, they'll diminish and downgrade and play off the fact that black folks didn't come out. And they'll just be like, yeah, it's midterms. What are you going to do? Because the Democratic Party, the one thing no party is going to do is come out and admit defeat and go, yeah, this is bad. We gotta change our ways. Nobody likes us. You never do that. You never do that. We have to control this narrative. Don't let it be that black folks just didn't turn out, or even worse, black folks just couldn't get over the hump and get us over the hump because then we'll get blamed. No. Say, we intentionally, be Ron Isley in the desert. I did this to you. We intentionally let y'all lose because y'all treat us like shit. When that becomes the narrative, sit back, put your sunglasses on, put your sunner shades on, watch the lights in the next 2 years leading up to the general election.
Watch the ass kissing. Watch the policies that get introduced, right? And all you got to do for the next 2 years after that is play deal or no deal leading up to the general election. Just shake your head, fold your arms, and go, not impressed. And they'll keep offering you shit. And the ante will keep getting upped. Signing out.